We should take pleasure in having Lea Salonga, who is an international figure insofar as the Philippines is concerned and its artistic endeavors. That we have her perform at the Adelaide Festival Center. This really is a very, very special occasion, and I hope that our Filipino kababayans dito sa Adelaide ay manunood sa kanya. At it will be a very good celebration of the 114th Philippine Independence Day dito sa Adelaide. So welcome to Miss Lea Salonga.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat, mga kababayan at mga minamahal natin mga kapatid dito sa Adelaide at sa Australia. Naririto kami ngayon dito sa Adelaide, naghihintay sa pagdating ng ating celebrity na si Lea Salonga na magkakaroon ng concert dito sa Festival Theater. First question. Being a living institution in the field of performing arts, the successes that you have garnered span the equivalent of centuries or several lifetimes for others to achieve just as much. How do you achieve such a level of excellence?
I think that the attitude to always do the best that I can, that was instilled at a very early age. That was something that my mentors and my teachers and the people that I was working with always strove to instill in every artist that they would work with. Only because, I mean, growing up, I was always raised, even by my family, to never think of good enough as good enough. It's never. So I think there's always just that thing in my head that you always have to strive for the best that you can do at that particular time in the life.
As Filipino at heart, in having done so much to raise the bar of respectability of the Filipino artist's image in the global arena, has this been in the equation of your setting standards of excellence for yourself?
No, it doesn't necessarily factor in. I mean, the fact that I'm Filipino is, obviously it isn't anything, it's not unimportant, but it does not necessarily have to do with why I think work excellent. It isn't, because the pride of the Filipinos riding on me goes well. It's not so much that, but it's just that feeling of I've always done the best that I could. I've never tried for anything less than that. Why am I going to now start to think any differently? So for me, it's always just always do your best. Just always do your best in everything. Just always. Work hard, train, and always be ready for rejection, be ready for downfall, be ready for any of that. But be prepared. Be prepared for the worst, but always hope for the best. And always keep your family first, because that will be the best support system that you could ever hope for.
How do you juggle being a mother and a career person? And what effect does having a family of your own has to the quality of your performance and your career?
It's not easy, and I mean, when you have a 6-year-old that tells you that she doesn't want you to travel, it's hard. But thankfully, I mean, I have a very supportive family and incredibly supportive husband and mom. I'm very, very, very fortunate. The career becomes less important and more important at the same time, because you realize that every dollar now that you make, it's no longer for your own personal stuff. It's college. You see college tuition fees. You see clothing. You see art class. You see ballet classes. You see sports. You see all of these expenses just racking up, and so the career becomes more important because you want to keep on making money for this little person to have a good life, then it becomes less important because you just really want to spend time watching this little person grow. So it becomes a funny balancing act.
You have just come from a concert in the town hall in New York.
Yeah.
How is it possible to come up with amazing performance? Audience went on standing ovations for it consistently throughout.
Well, when I know what I'm doing, I'd like to think that I know what I'm doing and that I do it well. That I have a really nice shorthand with my musical director, in that when we work together and then when we sit down and put together a program, it then becomes very easy. All I have to do is make sure I have my lyrics and my melody in my head, and and that and then everything else just comes together. I always have really wonderful musicians that play with me. These are people that I've trusted for years and years and years. So when I say, okay, we're gonna do that, we have the sheet music, distribute it, this is the order, we do it, and it's not that big of a deal to do. So I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of good people working for me.
Lea, in her own words, has stockpiles of musical songs and pieces that she has done through the years, from which she picks items that she uses for repertoire in concerts. Once in a while, she would simultaneously find herself doing a concert and preparing for or doing a play where she has lines on top of music parts.
In choosing the repertoire for particular concerts, I mean, I have like a whole stockpile of charts and songs and arrangements, numbering in, I don't know, the hundreds by now, I think. If I was to really put everything together and put them in a library, I think I would drive myself insane. But it really depends also on what the concert organizers want.
Lea has been a singing sensation from an early age, and the quality of her voice simply matured and became more refined through the years. She regards her voice with primary importance.
It's not always easy because every time I have a sore throat, I get really, really paranoid, and I tend to become a hypochondriac about my voice, but only about my voice. About anything else on my body, I really don't care. Because my livelihood is all in here, and they're tiny, these vocal cords. So it does drive me a little insane. But I try to stay warm. I try to always keep a scarf around my neck. I always try to have a hat on or a hood. Try to get a lot of sleep. Thanks to my husband, who's a bit of a health freak. He gives me vitamins that I need to take. A nice regimen that I have to keep up in order to stay healthy.
Lea has always been made synonymous with Broadway and concerts, and it can be assumed, perhaps, that she is an authority on music in her own way. But she is also a Filipino with her own thoughts and feelings about current issues. What were her feelings about the present issue of parts of the Philippines being claimed by another country?
Yeah, it's a little difficult. Not so much difficult to comment necessarily, but I think if that place has been established as Philippine territory, then no other country should try to claim it. If it has been established historically, geographically, that it is belonging to a certain country, then that should pretty much end the argument right there. I can understand if it is in a strategic location why it would be so sought after. But I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, if it is Philippine territory, then it should remain Philippine territory. That's really it. That's part of it. I mean, I don't necessarily call somebody that decides to change their Filipino citizenship to American or British or Australian. I don't think it necessarily makes them less patriotic. It only makes them practical. So I think those who decide to change citizenship, I think they're doing it for practical reasons, and a lot of them do it. So I don't think it makes anybody necessarily less of a lover of one's own country.
Lea divides her time between the United States and the Philippines, and she currently still holds a Philippine passport. But the Philippines is very much still home to her.
Necessarily, because I mean, I do love the Philippines. I will always identify as being a Filipino.
That concludes our interview with Miss Lea Salonga. This is Norma Hennessy with my colleague Lorenzo Mendoza. Have a pleasant day, everyone.